like a new beginning. We are the ones of the spoken word. We are the ones who keep the planet spinning. Yeah, yes, one day we will rule the world.
Hey guys, I'm Si and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell football show. This is the Euro 2020 show and it's episode number 5. And yes, the intro song is an absolute banger. The Euros are here and oh yes, there's lots to talk about. Might even have a little rant this evening. But lots of emotions over the last couple of days for a wee Welshman like myself. But we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Ace Podcast Nation, of course, you're home to many great shows and series. So do check them out. Give us a follow on social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell for notifications. And you can get the audio versions of all the shows we do at your favorite radio and podcast platform. Just search Ace Podcast Nation. Well over 450 shows there on all sorts of subjects. Big thank you as well to Black Diamond Sports, who are a global sports agency representing sports stars from around the world. They got, for more information, should I say, you can visit their social media pages and their website. And I urge you to check them out. They've been a lot of support to the channel and the show. Today's sponsor, Darren Ralston and Bespoke Financial. As ever, we're very proud to partner up with Darren and Bespoke. And such a top-class brand, providing incredible customer service. They're giving away a free will at the moment, £140 with any new policy which is taken out for you guys. So please do check them out. Give them a ring and don't miss out on what is an incredible offer. Tell them we sent you. And as I said many times over the last couple of weeks, support us by supporting our brand partners, the people who are getting behind the show, with sponsors and the like. These are the people who are really supporting us as we try to move on to the next level. But let's get into the football. Introducing, as usual, my co-host. He is the goal collector, former England under-21s striker, ex-Cardiff and Middlesbrough, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend. As I look at you, there's a massive magpie just staring at me by there. But anyway, sorry, mate. How are you? It's huge.
I'm very good, thank you. Looking forward to tonight's show. Loads to talk about. But I want to start just saying a huge, massive congratulations to Hartlepool United Football Club. They're obviously a local club to myself. I know the chairman, Raj, very well. The manager, Dave Challoner, very well. Rose Stoker, who's just gone into the football club. So lots of friends, players, and they're back in the Football League. So like a massive achievement, huge achievement. Well done to everybody concerned. And really looking forward to catching a game or 2 or 3 next season at the Vic and seeing some league football again, because we all know how important football is, don't we? To everybody who's watching this show, to us, to everyone. So, and that's a massive achievement. So congratulations to everybody.
Indeed, mate. I think I don't know much about it, but I heard on the radio, should I say, that there was someone on there ranting about it. Apparently, it was a bit controversial, but I haven't seen the game, so I couldn't tell you. But apparently, there was a few suspect decisions during that game, mate. But I don't know. So, but we got plenty of suspect decisions to talk about, mate. Plenty of them. But we'll start with Scotland's Billy Gilmour. He tested positive for COVID following the England and Scotland game, and this has meant that he has got to isolate, as well as Ben Chilwell of England, Mason Mount of England, and someone just said in the chat, also been announced now that Robertson and another Scotland player have also got to isolate, that's a massive problem for Scotland. Like, Mason Mount is a big miss for England, but taking out Gilmour on the back of a really good performance, taking out Robertson, who's obviously the captain, their best player, that's huge going into a game against Croatia, which will, that's not going to be an easy game anyway. But to go into a game you've got to win and be without those players is a problem, mate, isn't it?
Oh, listen, I think we spoke in the preview show about the impact that COVID could have on the team, and I remember talking about Spain, and Spain manager split his team into two just in case that the squad got COVID, so he'd have a two different 11s, so it wouldn't affect if something did happen. And part now thinks that was a really sensible idea, and because obviously Scotland now, the better players, the bigger players, the so-called Premier League footballers, Champions League winners, Premier League winners, they're going to be a huge miss. I just saw Billy Gilmour and the two Chelsea players from England because of embracing themselves after the game, which is, yes, it wasn't the right thing to do. All three of them have been in a bubble together for the last, 9 months. So I think they didn't see anything as a problem. Like, you probably don't, but it only takes a small issue and it's caused a bigger problem. Within the Scotland camp, I'm confused, and I'm going to explain my point why. I'm confused why it's only 3 or 4 players who've got to isolate from Scotland. I know you're going to go on a different point. Scotland got changed in the changing room. Must have been in the changing room for at least 12 minutes, if not longer, half an hour, etc., through the course of the night. Billy's obviously contracted COVID, which is a nightmare. We feel really sorry for him. Hope he has a speedy recovery. Hope he's not having any bad symptoms. Just hope it's mild and he gets back to playing very shortly and can play in this tournament again. However, why only 2 or 3 players? Are they the only ones who are getting changed near him? As everyone else doesn't breathe the same air? The whole COVID rules and the regulations are really confusing, and it's a really grey area because Croatia will probably complaining that it's not more of the players. Scotland will probably be complaining that more England players should be isolating. You know what I mean? So it's a real grey area, and it makes a big mockery of this tournament, really. You know what I mean? We all wanted it on, of course we did, but that could have the difference between Scotland qualifying or not. You know what I mean? Now it's going to be an extra if they don't qualify. And I would hate it to happen to England, and I'd hate it to happen to any country. You know what I mean? But especially one of the home nations, and that could be the reason why you don't qualify, because Billy Gilmour's got COVID, which means he can't play. I get that. But the other lads who've got to isolate, you know what I mean? They're sat there with no symptoms, hopefully without COVID, but they just can't play football. And it's going to have a massive impact on them and their country come Tuesday night, I believe.
Indeed, it's tricky, mate, isn't it? Because, look, to me, I think I know the rules and stuff, and it's something to do with. I know what you're getting at. You're saying about like they were all inside together in the changing room, etc. But for me, like Billy Gilmour, man marked Phil Foden for till Phil Foden went off, whenever that was, 65 minutes or whatever. He followed him everywhere, did an exceptional job. So regardless of whether they're outside, it's not like they're meeting in the park and they're socially distancing and some of them have got masks on. Like, they're all over each other for 90 minutes, wrestling for the ball, grappling for the ball. It was quite that sort of game as well. So for me, I don't really understand how you can separate who's like you were saying, Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell, because they embraced him. Well, if you go back and watch all the corners, Billy Gilmour would have been embracing one England player or another every time England had a corner, because that's just the way football is.
I don't know the regulations. I don't know who's decided that these players can't play. One player I can guarantee you didn't get anywhere near anybody. That was Harry Kane. So Harry Kane should be allowed to play every game because he didn't get anywhere near anybody. So that's a bonus for England. But in all seriousness, I would love to know why and why these players are the ones who were picked out. You know what I mean? Because, like you say, but we've said this in the Premier League, though. You know what I mean? That it was Harry Maguire. I think we use as a real example that Harry Maguire gets touch tight everyone, attacking and defending, because that's just the way he plays. And when there's COVID restrictions and people are saying that you're not allowed to shake hands, but on a corner you can get touch tight and you can grab all the people, you can grapple and you can be there for longer.
No sense, mate,
it does make a little bit of a mockery about why they're making one rule, but then the regulation of a corner, for example, or a set piece, or some kind of contact free kick. It could be somebody lying on top of another person during a game. It's just it's very grey area for me.
Yeah. So I want to quickly just address them, mate. Leslie's having a moan in the comments because we made our predictions for England, Scotland. All three of us were wrong. That's what we've got to do. We've got to make our predictions of how we think the game's going to go. We all thought England were going to win because England have got better footballers than what Scotland have. They've got more depth. They've got more quality. They've got more Champions League players. Didn't work out like that. Scotland were excellent. We gave them loads of credit on Monday. We give them loads of credit because they've been excellent. I say nice. This is the first show since the Scotland game. Technically,
but we've said over the course of time how good a players they've got. My point with so-called England fans who don't back their country every. Welsh.
I think.
I'm back. I think I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah,
I'm
back.
back. I am back.
Swore that I must have been.
Every single I nearly did. Every single Welsh fan backs their country 100%. Win, lose or draw, they back their country. And do you know what? I respect that so much. You know what I mean? Because they wear their heart on their sleeve and they die for their country. And do you know what? That's absolutely fantastic. Don't be saying you're an England fan if you don't support your country where you're born. You know what I mean? For me, that is absolutely despicable. You know what I mean? Yes, you might not want them to win because you've got certain players in the team. I don't care less. I care about England because I'm English. My daughter is Welsh, so I support Wales as well because of that reason. What I'm not having people coming on and saying that we're wrong. We made a prediction. I'm not wrong. I've just made a wrong prediction. I'm an England fan and I'll support England win, lose or draw. End of.
Absolutely. Spot on. No, look, it is what it is. Like, if at the end of the day, like Harry Kane was absolute garbage again, and
he's awful again.
He was. Me and you talked like over text, didn't we, during the game? Like, he's a real problem for England at the moment. Yes, they're not giving him service, which is a problem, but he's not doing anything else either. Is it like a match system? Could be anything, mate. I don't know, but England do have a problem with the Harry Kane thing. Man City apparently have made £100 million bid for him today. If I was Tottenham, I'd be snapping his hand off because I tell you what he looks like, mate. He looks like a player who has been affected by a long-term injury, you know, and that can pass, of course it can, and he can get back to full fitness. But we've also seen over the years of watching football, when a player has a serious injury, some players don't get over it. Like one player which springs to mind is Alan Smith for United, was just starting to live up to his potential and perform for United, broke his leg. I know it's different injury, but he broke his leg and he was never the same again. You never know.
What a player.
One of my favourite players.
Listen, yeah. I really hope that we're talking a different conversation on Wednesday and Harry's performed and Gareth's potentially stuck by him. But part of me thinks that he doesn't just stuck by and someone else certainly takes his place. But Harry Kane, the footballer, has had a wonderful career. He's had a wonderful season. However, you judged on you're only as good as your last game, and you're only good as your last game is he's been brutal the last two games. You know, we spoke like you just said about the price tag distraction, the injury distraction, the captain distraction. For me, he's got too many distractions to play well. You know, there's too many things.
What do you think of that from keeping there?
To do well.
So, do you think? That's not going to help him,
I think any transfer. No, and I look at the Jadon Sancho one as well. That there's a reason why Jadon didn't come on at the week on Friday night, right? And I'll throw this one out. Gareth sees these players in training, yeah. So he'll see Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's head will have been turned with all the talk he's going to Man United. Harry Kane's
Well,
head
mate-
will have been turned, and his performance levels will be changing because of this. Why would Harry Kane doesn't want to get injured? Because this is a once in a lifetime chance for him to move to Man City or to Man United or to whoever. He won't get this
I got
opportunity
told
ever again.
that I got told, and you know who told me, that
Yep.
Jadon Sancho's got a medical with Manchester United this week. Which I think is so wrong to have that during the Euros, because simply put, the transfer window's not open, is it? I don't think the transfer window doesn't open until after the Euros.
Players' contracts are running out. They run out during the Euros, so they should run out in a week's time or just less, which is wrong.
Yeah, it is
Then
absolutely.
on another way side, that Depay's just signed for Barcelona. His confidence levels throughout this tournament has been outstanding. Another goal today, I know we're going to talk about it, but he's been consistent in every single game, and he's had his move potentially going to Barcelona. It's been ratified. It's gone through. So there's one which can be a positive sign. But they didn't pay any money for him. It's a free transfer. It's a different scenario. £100 million is a lot of money to be slapping in on during the Euros.
On a player who's struggling as well for form and everything. It just puts more pressure on him, doesn't it? Just wanted to quickly say as well, Andrew Williamson just put a message in the chat, said he missed the game on the weekend. He was in hospital getting ready for a hospital procedure. Best wishes, Andrew. Hope everything's all right and everything went well, mate. And you can enjoy the rest of the tournament. So last night we had Italy versus Wales. It wasn't the most enjoyable game to watch, but I got to say, Italy and Netherlands, mate, they're the two teams to me which have stood out, because the reason they stand out to me is they haven't got like that one star player. They haven't got a Ronaldo or a Harry Kane or whoever, or a Gareth Bale or a Ramsey yes, Depay has gone to Barcelona. He's a very good footballer, but they haven't got like that one player who everything depends on. Both Italy and Holland, to me, look the most dangerous teams, and out of all the teams I look at, they're the two teams which I wouldn't want to meet in the knockout stages at the moment.
Oh, listen, I thought they were fantastic against today. It's the everything starts with the manager. The squad's picked by the manager and his staff. The tactics is picked by the manager, the team, etc. Those players know exactly what they're doing under Roberto Mancini. He looks very relaxed on the touchline. He's a very animated character. He looks so relaxed. His team knows exactly what they're going to do. They look set up. Midfield-wise, they beat the ball really well. What I liked is about what he did yesterday, Mancini, is that he kept his spine of his team the same. So he had Bonucci, he had Jorginho, he had the goalkeeper. Yes, he changed his centre forwards because I think it would have been a little bit of suicide if he hadn't, because of how fresh he needs to keep those, and those guys needed a chance, and I think they took it because I thought they did very well. I thought Chiesa was very good. I was surprised how good some of the players were who haven't played the first two games. They look really fit. They look really fresh against a very stubborn Welsh side, by the way. I think I know we spoke at length. Worried at times, excited at times, nervous at times. I think Robbie Page got his tactics all wrong for me. When he decided to pick his players, I think his players dictate his tactics. And for me, you've got Aaron Ramsey. He needs to be bombing on, needs to be going forward. He had a couple of half chances. Gareth Bale didn't get in the positions apart from the chance that he missed. I don't see why Kiefer Moore came on second half. You know, I think he got himself in some dubious areas as well with aerial battles with Italian defenders who are very clever, who might have got him a yellow card and would have been an absolute disaster for Welsh football. I'm on the fence about the red card, Ampadu's red card. I've seen it again today, and my opinion today is different to yesterday's. Yesterday's I thought it was a red card. I thought it was very silly. I thought it was reckless. But then he just stamped on his foot. So, but then part of me thinks if they stamp down, pardon the pun, by the way, if they're trying to stamp down on those kind of tackles, it's got to be a red card. But then you see those tackles all the time. Alaba made one on in the last game, in the second game, and he didn't get a yellow. It was just a penalty. So it seems to be one rule for one and one rule for another sometimes.
Yeah, with the sending off, I think he didn't help himself by going in with his right foot. If he'd gone in with his left foot, I feel like would have been his body would have been at a different angle and it wouldn't have looked as bad. In real time, I thought it was never a sending off. the replay looks worse because it studs down, but he didn't go in studs up, like a leg breaker. It was more of that was where his foot landed. But you just can't, British teams years ago had to learn in Europe. When you play in Europe and you've got European referees, you have to adapt the way you tackle. You can't just tackle the same way you do in the Premier League or the Championship. And he'll learn from it. It is what it is. In terms of the tactics,
no.
Go on.
You look at his foot though. His foot wasn't up. His studs weren't showing. You know what I mean? His foot down.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. You see a lot of them. Yeah. And I think
if that happened to Gareth Bale or to Ramsey, do they get straight back up? They're not rolling.
Well, mate, Gareth Bale's been
around, by the way.
Yeah, Gareth Bale's been battered in every bloody game, and he's got no free kicks. But it is what it is, I guess. In terms of the tactics, mate, how long have I been saying on the Championship show and the football show? You play a formation and tactics that suit the players that you have available and the players you pick from those available players. You don't pick a formation that you want to play and force those players into it, because it never works. And we saw it again. We saw it in the build-up to the tournament with Wales. There was a few mind-boggling decisions from Robert Page, I thought, yesterday. And yes, he got away with them largely, but ultimately they could have cost Wales big time. Like bringing on Kiefer Moore, to me, there was no need to play Kiefer Moore yesterday. Unless we were getting thoroughly, it was 3-0 and it was looking a bit dubious. Yeah, and you just needed a pinch win. But what was the point in taking Tyler Roberts? Literally, that was the perfect opportunity when he brought Kiefer Moore on to bring Tyler Roberts on. The other thing I didn't understand is, and look, I've criticised Joe Morrell a little bit in the first game, after the first game. Why did he bring Joe Morrell off, who's not on a booking, but kept on Joe Allen, who is on a booking, when you needed a holding midfielder, so one of them had to stay on. So I just didn't really get that. I thought, bring Joe Allen off. The last thing you want is to lose any big players. On the plus side, I thought Chris Gunter was excellent, and I thought that he brought the best out of Rodon, and I really believe that Chris Gunter should start in the knockout stage. Reece just says Morrell had an awful game. I don't disagree with what Reece is saying there. I just think in terms of planning for the next game, Joe Allen should have come off way earlier than he did, just because he was on a booking. You've got players on the bench. You've got Harry Wilson. You've got Brooks. You've got all these different players who play different positions. You've got to utilise that squad, and bringing on Kiefer Moore and risking that, our one out-and-out striker who scores goals for us. Tyler Roberts is a bit of an unknown, for Wales, but he's played Premier League football all season, so he's no mug. To not bring him on, I thought was a bit of a slap in the face. Wales have only taken 2 out-and-out strikers, so if they do decide not to play Kiefer Moore, or he gets banned or suspended, you either play Tyler Roberts, or you move Gareth Bale up front, or you play this horrendous false 9, which doesn't suit any of the players.
No, listen, I totally agree. I look at Joe Allen. Joe Allen's a fantastic footballer, and when I say footballer, technically very good on the ball. When you're playing against Italy, you don't have the ball. It's about defending. It's about keeping your shape. It's about being strong. You know what I mean? For me, I probably would have looked at bringing a centre half and just sticking him in front of the centre half just to protect winning headers, winning second balls, getting in someone's faces. I think that's what that game was crying out for. And when a centre forward, for me, I think it played in Wales' hands a little bit. The target man on, because they love that aerial duels. They love battling. They love fighting. The older players don't like running in behind. They don't like pacing behind, and we didn't get enough. And when I say we, by the way, because I feel as though I am Welsh because of the love I get in here. We have enough balls over the top. If we can get balls over the top, a Tyler Roberts, a Gareth Bale, for example, a James. You know what I mean? James, I feel really sorry for. He put so much into a game, and he's came off all 3 times, and I think he looks a little bit dejected. He looks a little bit frustrated. He's getting down the line. He's crossing balls in. There's nobody in the box because we haven't got a centre forward. So what's the point of playing Daniel James if you're not going to put a centre forward in the box? So you might as well just shut up shop, play defensive, play maybe a Nico Williams on the left hand side and put a left back behind him.
Well, here's the thing, mate.
I felt sorry for a couple of players. That was all.
after the sending off, if you're not going to bring on Tyler Roberts, why not stick Gareth Bale up front or Daniel James with the hope that you can get the ball over the top to them, and instead of playing a target man route like they did with Kiefer Moore, so what that was the out ball was trying to get Kiefer Moore to hold it up. How about you stick Daniel James up front and you try and play the ball, in the channels, and that be your out ball. Like, it doesn't have to be, we've got 10 men now, so we need a target man to just lump it up to. There's other ways to play out and to get rid of, to get the ball at the other end. But Tyler Roberts,
totally agree.
He must be sick, mate. I got to be honest.
I totally agree. Yeah. Well, I totally agree. Listen, I would hate to play that target man role. I would hate to be battered for a full 89 minutes. It must be a nightmare. You know what I mean? But if you can keep the ball in over the top in the channels behind the centre halves and keep the ball up front, it takes the pressure off the defence. Italy can't score and can't cause you problems if you've got the ball up front. You know what I mean? The team keep more hold of it. Yes, he tried. He got hold of it. You had Jorginho stepping on his toes. You had Bonucci coming around him to tackle him. He had 3 or 4 players around him because he didn't have any support to come and help him out. And I felt so sorry for him at times. And I just thought he was very isolated. The sending off obviously didn't help him, but I just think sometimes your plan A turns into a plan B, and your plan B's got to turn into a plan C very quickly. And the others, that's the scary thing about it. They have the players to do that plan as well, but they didn't execute it. And they didn't use the personnel.
This is my problem with it, is that we have the players to change it up. We have the players to do something different, but we don't seem to want to use those players, and we don't seem to want to mix it up with the players that are on the pitch. So, like I said, the example being stick Daniel James up front and play it into the channels instead.
Yeah.
A little bit frustrating. In terms of the next game, hopefully they'll go back to the other formation. I would put Gunter in there. I'd bring Nico Williams in there at fullback, and I would have put Ampadu in alongside Joe Allen. However, he's suspended, which gives you a problem, because I do agree with the people who's in the chats who've been saying Joe Morrell hasn't been great. I thought he did. I thought he had a good game against Turkey, but I didn't think he was very good against Italy, and I didn't think he was very good in the first game. But they could also move Ramsey back alongside Joe Allen and have him break from deeper, and then slot in David Brooks or Harry Wilson. I think Harry Wilson offers them something different because he presses so quickly and so high up the pitch. And I think Italy actually, without their regular centre-backs, obviously one didn't start, one came off. I think they were there before the sending off. I think we could have got at them a bit more. And, we had the pace and we had the nous to do it. But once the sending off was, it was just going to go. It was always about keeping it to 1-0. But impressed by Italy. Almost as much as I'm extremely disappointed by how Turkey was turned up in the tournament.
Aside, though, listen, I really don't get that nation. I don't get what's happened to them. I think they've really let themselves down in 3 games. You know what I mean? Even the last game side, normally you get a little bit of a reaction in the last game that you want to hit them with a final win just to give some for your fans. And again, Switzerland started 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Look at the Wales, the way that Wales started against them, 5 minutes again. You know what I mean? This early start, Turkey just didn't start any of the games very well at all. And when you don't start games and the games are in a continuation, it's just so hard to try and turn those performance levels round. And what comes with performance levels is goals. What comes with goals is results. And they've let far too many goals in. They haven't scored enough goals. It's been a really poor tournament for them. And whoever got Turkey, I think it's looking like that they're going to be the worst team in the tournament, and I didn't think that they would be anywhere near the worst team in the tournament.
Well, Turkey were my tip to have a little bit of an underdog run, because I really thought they'd do quite well. I felt like they had some decent players. I think the Swiss have quietly gone about their business quite well, and I thought they were very good again last night from what I've seen of the highlights. So I'll be interested to see how they get on, because obviously I think they should go through as one of the third place teams, which means they could end up with a difficult game. It looks as if Wales will get, I think it's Russia is most likely.
Russia or Denmark, isn't it?
Yeah, on paper, I think, I'd much rather play Russia, because Denmark, I thought, have actually looked quite good at times. But Russia will have a massive point to prove against Wales. They were really embarrassed and hurt by the 3-0 loss in the third group game back in 2016. It should have been about 6-0 at halftime. Like, we really embarrassed them. And I just think that psychologically, if we get Russia, everyone will kind of go, oh yeah, that's the easier game. And I don't necessarily think it is, but all the games are going to be difficult. If Switzerland do go through as one of the third place teams, do you think they could have a sneaky little run a bit further on? They got a couple of good players who seem to be hitting the ground at the right time.
Yeah, listen, I know we had a brief chat over the phone when obviously during the Wales first game, and Bolo I thought excellent. Shaqiri's growing as the tournament's going on. He had a very good game yesterday. They've got some good threats. Yeah, it's defensively. I fear for them. I don't think they're great. I think they give you a few chances. But end of the day, we're not talking about a big nation here. We're not talking about the favourites of the tournament. So they've got to be a weakness, and the weakness I do believe is defensively for them. But offensively, I think they'll cause some problems for whoever they play in the next round. I do believe they'll go through on 4 points. I'll be gutted if anyone does go out on 4 points.
Just to clarify, it probably won't be Denmark. It'll be Russia or Finland by the looks of it, because Denmark have gotten 0 points, which obviously we've discussed how that's wrong. So when I look at that on paper, I probably would rather play Finland. But ultimately, they've got some good players. Will Volks should be in that Welsh squad,
it could be Belgium, though, couldn't it? Because if Belgium lose tonight against Finland...
Yeah, they could all go wrong, and Wales could be playing Belgium in the next round, which I don't want to do at the moment. But you're going to have to play those teams at some point anyway. Well, we've beaten them before. Why not?
Totally
and the pressure's all on them, isn't it? I'm just trying to find... Craig, I think it was. I apologise if it wasn't Craig. But Will Volks should absolutely be in that Wales squad, because he would slot in now for Morale. He should have been starting in front of Morale anyway, but he would slot in perfectly into that role now with Ampadu suspended. So that's a bit frustrating. But there we go. So we just had Holland versus North Macedonia and Ukraine versus Austria. Just tell me what stuck out for you there in those games, mate.
How strong De Boer put his side out for Holland. I couldn't believe the strength of his side, the core. You know what I mean? He had one now with the time. So I've been very impressed with them going forward. Coming back, defend, I'm not sure. They were caught out a couple of times. I watched the game. I thought North Macedonia. Sorry, I thought they were okay at times. You know what I mean? I thought Pandev led the line really well, but I think
shout out to him, mate, as well. By the way, he's been
whoever gets Holland is going to be
100%. Just on Pandev, looks like it'll be his last tournament game, whatever. What a player! I really like one of the true legends of the game, mate. I'm a massive fan of I can't pronounce his name. The guy who scored 2 for the Dutch today plays for them. Wijnaldum, yeah. Oh, what a player, mate! And I think he'll be a big loss for Liverpool. I got to say, because he looks like he's going to be going, or if he hasn't already. But I thought he was very impressive again. But you're right, mate. Holland showed a tremendous amount of respect to the rest of the group, Macedonia, because they're through already. But I also think it's something to be said for having momentum. They're playing well. They're scoring goals. Why change it? Why not keep going and keep scoring goals and keep going and going and going? Makes sense to me, mate.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. And we've spoke, haven't we, about resting players and taking players out of the firing line. But if they've got no yellow cards and they're feeling good and they're feeling fresh and they're confident, you've got Depay who's just signed for Barcelona. Go and fill your boots. Go and score another goal. Go and get that golden boot potentially in the tournament. You know what I mean? You've got Wijnaldum who scored. That's his third goal as well. He scored 1 in the first game, 2 and 2 today. You wouldn't like to go and play Holland, you know what I mean, the way that they attack, you know what I mean, and you've got to remember as well, Van Dijk would walk into that team, would make them strong defensively, and that could probably give them a more secure unit as a team, and they could be in the reckoning over the next few years, by the way, if they continue to play, and they could get probably another centre forward or some more attacking options next to Depay. I think they would be frighteningly scary.
and Ajax are going to produce some young players, and so they're coming. Austria, talk to me a little bit about this. Me and you talked about David Albaba on the weekend. We thought he was borderline disgraceful. He was out of position, but we also criticised his attitude, his performance, pretty much everything. I thought he was really bad, and they look lost without him. In the right position. Was he any better today from what you saw?
I watched bits. I thought it was a lot better. I thought the team was a lot better. I thought they were solid as a unit. It helps when you get a goal in the first half and you've got something to hang on to, because a point would have been enough for both teams. Would have gotten both on 4 points. I thought that was a nailed-on draw because it probably could have been set up. But when you're ahead 1-0, you've got to lose and go. Maybe take a little bit of a risk to get that second goal, and if you draw the game, you're still going to be throwing 4 points. And I think Austria will be one of the weaker links in the tournament. I think teams will probably enjoy playing them because defensively, depending on where Alaba plays, if he plays centre half, get at him. If he plays in defensive midfield, then as long as you can keep him quiet on the ball, you've got an opportunity. But yeah, disappointing for Ukraine because we spoke about Ukraine that they've been scoring goals, they've been creating chances. Yes, they let 3 in against Holland, but disappointed that they've gone out.
Yeah, big time. But they've kind of underwhelmed a little bit, haven't they, Austria? Can't really work out what they're trying to do with Albaba, to be honest. It's just a weird one. But, it is what it is, I suppose. Then tonight we've got Finland versus Belgium and Russia versus Denmark. Now this, mate, is a fascinating group because you've got obviously Belgium comfortably sat there. Then you've got Finland and Russia both on 3 and Denmark on 0. If Denmark win, then you've got 3 teams on 3 and away we go. So I'll be very interested. In terms of you guys in the chat, who are you looking forward to seeing over the next week or in the last group games now? Obviously, we've got the England-Scotland group tomorrow. I miss having 3 games a day, I got to say. I got used to having 3 games a day. So yesterday, when there was no 2:00 game, and today I was like, where's the 2:00 game? What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, I was not happy. Today. But that Denmark group, I was saying, it's quite fascinating because Belgium through on 6, or most likely through, and then you've got Russia, Finland 3, and Denmark on none. If Denmark win, you've got 3 teams on 3, makes it incredibly close. They're all like Russia's goal difference is -2, but they're second in the group. Finland's goal difference is level, and Denmark's is -2. It's very, very. Interestingly set.
Though it goes on head to head. Does it go on head to head?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, mate.
So if it goes on head to head, then Denmark are out anyway because they've already lost to Finland. So Finland would finish in second place anyway, which would.
But then, so Denmark could still finish third though, couldn't they? Because if they would have beaten Russia, if they beat Russia heavily. Yeah. Their goal difference and their head-to-head will take them above Russia. But Russia and Denmark have got the same goal difference. And that's the interesting thing. They're both on -2.
But if it does go on head-to-head, it makes the Belgium-Finland game also just as important because if Finland beat them somehow, or Belgium rest a few players and want to finish second, for example, then all it takes is a win for Finland and they leapfrog the group by head-to-head, which... If perfectly honest, I think you judged on your 3 games. You could score 10 goals and still finish second. For me, that's not right. You know what I mean? You judged on the 3 games. It's a collective performance. Yeah. You can't just judge it on 1 game because that's what
it should be goal difference, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's all in 1 game, and I don't like it.
I would like to see. Do you think Belgium rest any players? I think they'll try and give Hazard an hour. Yeah, or at least I would if I was them, and maybe Witsel as well, because they're 2 such important players who haven't played a lot of football. Give them an hour and then wrap them in cotton wool for the group stage, for the knockout stage. But I think
same as De Bruyne.
Probably,
same as De Bruyne.
Yeah, De Bruyne probably give him a half.
Do you know he need an hour? It probably needs an hour to go and to himself.
Would you
and to
rest?
make sure
Would
that
you rest
he's
Lukaku?
fully ready?
Would you
If
rest
I was
Lukaku? He's had a
Roberto
long season.
Martinez, if I was Roberto Martinez and Thierry Henry, no, because I look at the potential outcome, and if you lose, you're going to go and play Wales. I wouldn't want to go and play Wales. So
No.
listen, I'd want Lukaku to go and score at half time. I'll bring him off.
Yeah. By the way, I rewatched Wales versus Belgium the other day, and the chances which Belgium missed through a combination of great defending, goalkeeper, but the chances they missed was astonishing, mate, that night. Fellaini missed a header from like the 6-yard box in the middle of the goal, and he somehow headed it wide. And look, Wales were out, it's a special night. But like Belgium just missed chance after chance after chance. But that's the sort, you need that luck. Again, when you're playing against the bigger teams, you've got to ride your luck and take your chances. It's the way it's always been with the underdogs, my friend. So let me get your predictions then for Finland, Belgium, Russia, Denmark. And in the chat, guys, give us some...
Finland, Belgium, I think Belgium will still win, even if they do rest a few players. When I mean rest a few players, I'm all about bringing De Bruyne and Hazard in. So
yeah.
I'm gonna go 2-0 Belgium tonight for that game. I think Russia will win. I think Russia will beat Denmark. I don't know why. I think it's because of the permutations. I think they might freshen things up, and they've had a really tough few weeks. It'll affect players in a different way. I know the players have done a few interviews as well. So I just think Russia might just turn up today and pull a result.
To me, Denmark in the first half against Belgium, I thought looked really good. If they play like that against Russia, I'd expect them to win. So I'm going to go with 3-1 to Denmark, and I'm going to go with Belgium to win 3-1 as well. I think Finland will get a goal. Okay, to finish this off, mate, we're going to...
by the way.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's loads of
spot on, mate.
Goals.
Love a goals.
To be right.
Yeah, I think KD said 5-1 to Belgium, didn't he?
Yeah.
What I would like to talk about to finish, mate, is Group D, which is Croatia, Scotland, and Czech Republic versus England. I think this group was set up beautifully for some really tense last group stage game shenanigans. And if that is correct, that Robertson is out and, obviously Gilmore's out, that does take that edge off that a bit. However, what I will say is when you're an underdog and everyone writes you off anyway, everyone expects Croatia to win, and then you lose a couple of players, everyone writes you off some more. And the tabloids in the UK openly mocked the Scottish players ahead of the England game. And I think that probably was their team. We've talked about it before, mate. If you're the manager, you put that on the changing room wall and they say, there you go. Yeah. That's what they think of you. Mm-hmm. There's your team talk done. Yeah. Leslie made a good point earlier. He said, I talked up before the show, before Friday's show, I had said that Scotland would get a point or they might even pinch a win. And then when it came to predictions, I changed what my prediction was. And the reason for that was I had looked at the England squad and the depth, and I just felt that if England played well, they should have had enough to beat Scotland. And I still believe that they should have enough to beat Scotland in a one-off game. But Scotland were excellent, and I believe they are good enough to beat Croatia. But I also believe that Croatia would 9 times out of 10 will beat Scotland. But that one, you need that tonight to be that one day, or tomorrow, sorry. You need that game to be that one game where Scotland get that win. They just play like they did against England. They're full of passion, full of fire, and they've just got to keep going. And can they do that without their captain? Look, Scott McTominay will be captain. He's played in the Champions League finals and all the rest of it. They've got good players other than Gilmore and Robertson, but they are a massive loss. I'm going to go Scotland to win 1-0 versus Croatia. And I think England will have a point to prove. I think Harry Kane will be on the bench. and I think Calvert-Lewin will start up front. I also think Jadon Sancho will probably start, and I think England will win 2-1. What about you, Andy Campbell? How do you see the games going, and results-wise and performance-wise, selection-wise as well?
Yeah, I'll start with Scotland. I think I'm gutted for them that they're not going to have a real opportunity to show what they can do. I think it's so important they have continuation. You know what I mean? Listen, they thoroughly deserved their point against England. Thoroughly deserved it. But why didn't they put the same level of performance in against Czech Republic? If they put the same level of performance against Croatia, they'll beat them. But I don't believe they will put the same level of performance in, and I think that's why they're going to let themselves down. And I think both going to let themselves down. I think it's going to be a draw, and I think there's so much riding on the game. It's going to be that no one's going to want to lose it. And I'm going to go. I'm going to go draw. I'm going to go 0-0. I can't see many goals being in the game. Croatia don't score many. Scotland don't score many. So I'm going to go 0-0 again. But defensively, they've done okay, both of them put together, I think. England, listen, I'd love things to be refreshed. I think Harry Kane will play, if I'm in all honesty. I would love to see Sancho being given a game and drive from the right and take people on and put crosses in the box. I'd probably love to see another centre forward up front with Harry and put crosses in the box. I think it was set up for me to put crosses in the box against McTominay, against Hanley, but we didn't put crosses in the box. Yes, Harry Kane didn't play very well. But how many crosses did he get in the box? How many touches did he get in the box? Who passed in the ball in the box?
But
you know what I mean?
Harry Kane versus Scott McTominay, mate. Scott McTominay's a midfielder playing in defence for Scotland. Like, Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in Europe, should be able to perform better than he did against a midfielder, in my opinion. It's the equivalent of when Michael Carrick used to play in centre-back, isn't it? He needs the ball, of course.
I've been critical of him, but he needs a ball in good areas. And if we put in 45 crosses and he didn't get on the end of any of them, I'm criticising him even more. But we didn't put any crosses in the box. We didn't give him anything to thrive on. He had a couple of things outside the box which he took another touch and he gave the ball away. They're the things that I'm going to criticise him for. Right. How many touches did he get in the box? How many times did he pin the centre half? He didn't. Those are the kind of thing that he needs to do tomorrow night, is pin the defender.
So if Harry Kane starts, for me, if I'm starting Harry Kane as a manager, I'm playing Rashford on the left and Sancho on the right, because you have to play out-and-out players who can whip a ball in, beat a man, definitely do it with pace, which means you've got to change the midfield up a little bit. So if they're your three up top, who are you playing in midfield for England, mate? Put your manager's hat on. Back in the day, I would replace one of the defensive midfielders. I would only play Rice or Phillips. If I'm only going to play one, I'm going to play Phillips. And then I would go more offensive, because I think that we need to go and win the game. You know what I mean, right? So because at the minute, if we draw, we finish second in the group. We've got to go and try and win the game. We're at Wembley at home. We're expected to go and attack. So let's give everyone what they're expecting and go and attack the game and go and try and win it. And the only way to try and win it is by attacking. If we need to shore things up at the end, bring them back on. Bring an attacking player off and shore it up with Phillips or Rice or Henderson and sit and dominate the game. So you'd go Phillips as the holder, and then Foden
or Rice. Yeah, I'd go Foden. I'd go 4-1. I'd go 4-1, 4-1 potentially. You know what I mean? I'd go Sancho. I'd go Grealish. I'd go Foden. And I'd go Sterling behind Kane. I'd go the 4. I'd go all out attack, because we've got nothing to lose. We've got that defensive midfielder, and we've got the
Harry Maguire's going to play as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he needs a game. I think it was all set up. Yeah, he needs a game. He needs to go and play. But one thing I will say about England, and I think everyone's forgotten and got a little bit overhyped about the result and about England being on 4 points. Wales had 4 points, successful.
Yeah.
France have got 4 points, successful. Spain have got 2 points. Germany at the time had 0 points. Portugal 3 points. You know what I mean? So you look at the bigger picture. England 4 points are already through. Portugal might go out. Spain might go out. England tomorrow night might have 7 points. It's not all doom and gloom.
It's weird,
yes, they had a bad performance. Yes, they've had a bad performance. Yes, they're not playing well. But it's about growing throughout the tournament and getting better. I've never said once on this show that England will win it. I want them to win it. Do I think they'll win it? Of course I don't. I'm a realist. But I would love them to win it, and I hope they're doing it, because I'm an England fan, and that's just the way I'm built.
Yeah, and I think, that's pretty much, I agree with you. I think the media causes a lot more of the problems than the players or the fans or the managers do. It's the media with articles like what they wrote about the Scottish squad. That's those articles which just get everyone kind of frustrated, and it builds up the hype. So we got a question for Reese, which I'll finish on now in just a second. For me, if I'm England manager, like I said, I'd have Rashford and Sancho either side of Kane, and I'd have Grealish, Phillips, and Foden. And if you need to bring off Foden or Grealish for an extra holder, you can do that at any point. The one thing I think people forget with Harry Maguire, they think, he's just the defender who goes flying in. Is what Harry Maguire does exceptionally well is he brings the ball out of defence, which opens up the midfield for those players. And I think he should help. John Stones should, but we'll see. So, predictions, Croatia, Scotland, what did you say?
0-0.
0-0. And then England, Czech Republic, you said?
I'm going to go 3-0, same again. I'm sure I'll get shut down.
Optimistic. I think Scotland are going to pinch a 1-0 with a late goal, because I don't think there's going to be many goals in that. And I think England. If England pick the right team, I should caveat that with, I think if they play the same team, then they might struggle. And that's not necessarily a criticism of those players. I just think that formation, that combination of players isn't quite gelling. So it's not working properly. And right, to finish us off, mate, Reese asked a question. And he said, Andy, if a manager comes out and says you're starting even when you're playing poorly, how does that affect you as a player? Can you relax more in training, or does it make you take your foot off the gas in training?
I think it makes you more nervous because you start to worry about the game. You know what I mean? I've been there, that you're not playing very well, and the manager gives you a vote of confidence and tells the reporters and tells the papers and tells the media that you're playing. And straight away, if it's a Thursday to a Saturday game, you've got 2 days to worry about a game. When normally you only have a few hours to worry about if you picked. So it can be a bad thing. It can weigh on your mind. The pressure can weigh on your mind. Sometimes if you're not playing, it could relax you a little bit, and you could go and score loads of goals in training. Sometimes the manager might not pick the team till a few hours before, and then you kept on your toes. You think you're not going to play, and then all of a sudden you're playing, or you think you're playing, and then it's confirmed. I think sometimes it's good to keep it till the last minute, where telling players early I think it can have a negative impact as well as a positive. And I look like Harry's carrying loads on his shoulder. Can he handle it? Of course he can. He's a professional footballer who's played at the top level throughout his career. He's England captain. He's scored a ton of goals. He's a very good footballer. But on his last 2 displays, he possibly doesn't deserve to play.
Yeah. Right, guys, thank you ever so much for joining us as ever for our Euro shows and talking the football. We do enjoy it, and glad to say that the connections have been a lot better the last couple of shows as well. Yeah. And check out the Danny Batten Fight Show from last night. We had Cage Warriors Flyweight. Lee Mitchell joined us. That was a good one. And of course, Rhodri Giggs is joining us on Wednesday. And David Giles, is Gilo joining us Friday, mate? He is, isn't he? I think, because this Friday, week is a full week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Rhodri Wednesday, Gilo Friday, and you never know who might turn up later in the tournament, but we'll see. Got to keep these people guessing. As ever, guys, really, really thank you for all your support and everything, because I know it's a lot, like 3-4 shows for me a week. I appreciate your commitment to us as much as our commitment to you, the people. But we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep churning it out. I got a very interesting phone call to make tomorrow, Andy Campbell. But let's see where we go. And nice one, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the nice comments. And I also appreciate, just very, very quickly, I just want to say thank you to Reese, Donna, and a couple of others, Matthew, who all jumped in the MMA and boxing show last night. They stayed for like pretty much the whole show. They had no idea what any of it was about. They were asking like loads of questions and stuff, and I was loving it. And I really appreciate that, because that's dedication, mate. That is.
Yeah, it is dedication. That's brilliant.
The hardcore Ace Nation Army, mate. I love it.
That.
And
I love that.
Yeah. After the Euros, mate, we'll get the Patreon up and running so we can reward these people properly. Thank you, guys. And you take care. We'll see you Wednesday. Don't be late. tune's an absolute banger. Love it.
To mark a new beginning. We are the ones of the spoken